and I think this is maybe one of the things that was the thing I was trying to remember to say was actually that like. And this is me going back to kind of culture crafting, right? Yeah. And culture as status games between different communities that can be conceptualized as different kinds of status. Different communities that could be conceptualized as as status hierarchies or like different kinds of hierarchies of values, right? What's interesting, again, it's like, what was I gonna say? Is that when you make a video about FD, if you're like, and he's wrong about this and this and right? It's like, is that interesting? Like, the thing is, you don't even have to say it because of the way you look. And because of and on a deeper level, because of the other kinds of videos that are on your channel, you already have a bunch of videos that clearly kind of indicate where you and FD will have a disagreement, right? Culturally or like intellectually or politically or whatever. And so what becomes kind of more interesting to play with, I think, is, and you do this in something that I think is interesting, and you've done it with me before, and I like that this has happened with me with some like conservatives, is that they're like, they will use me as a reference on the thing, right? It's interesting when like to counter signal against like, you know, to use like both like the words you're saying as the information, let's say at the party, the words you're saying, and then the context of the human embodied thing. So there's the propositional thing you're doing, and then there's like the embodied actual like body information. Like all of it is communication. And you treat all of it kind of like an art, and like a pragmatic art and a self-expressive art in a way that you kind of build and craft your identity. Then it is really interesting when you, with all of your cultural signifiers and everything that's already there, is you like reference me or FD signifier positively, and you start taking like, and here's a quote from Philosophy Tube that's 100% right or whatever, and you just start doing that, then it gives people a little bit like it just gets interesting and complicated, and you become a little more like powerful, you know what I mean? It's interesting, and I tried to do a similar thing where
so you do with Jordan Peterson.
I do with Jordan Peterson. I also like show like clips of like, if they're relevant, I'll show like a Dave Chappelle clip. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, you know what I mean? And like, because I'm not trying to sanitize all of my cultural references, basically. I remember I made a bit one time too where I think I showed like Marjorie Taylor Greene doing like, there's two genders, and it was like and like that was the joke in the video. But even that, right, is kind of like this vaguely positive comedic reference to a political figure I find abhorrent, like a cultural figure that, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, it's not up to like, you know, a demonstration of my like moral purity, which cultural reference I'm going to use in my like language or whatever. And again, those signals, right? So when you, with all that you are confident enough to allow yourself to occupy another agency, even temporarily, and you don't feel like this debases you on some profound moral level, it's like you're more interesting. You will wear more hats. Like you, if you can manage to, I had this. This is just totally insane. The Jordan Peterson video obviously has taken on a lot of different forms, and at one point I had it conceptualized around a quote from 1984.
Language police.
No. It's a quote. It was my favorite quote, something that just stuck with me when I read it. And this isn't in the thing now, so like it didn't stick. But I was almost like positively referencing something that Big Brother says, which was like when he's like, you know, trying to argue against the totalitarian state, and the totalitarian state has kind of like already thought through everything that like all the kind of disagreements with the totalitarian state. There's this moment where he goes like, his mind contains mine. And it's like this helpless, like I've been crushed, right?
And it shows the power of Big Brother.
Yeah, and I was almost saying like that's what I'm gonna do to Jordan Peterson right now. But it is
that's
kind
so
of
interesting.
I do think it's powerful if you are like, and this is something that whatever. In Jordan Peterson's first argument with Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson's mind, he can understand Sam Harris's point of view and say it back to him, but Sam Harris can't play the other agency. So I was like, Jordan Peterson's mind contains yours right now, and it's quite a move to do. That is an interesting way to frame it. When you can do that at a party, it's like I can do the pronoun thing. Like I'm strong enough to do that, you know. And then I'm strong enough to do that and not be corrupted too, like Avatar ending style.
I'm
just saying it makes someone interesting. You know what I mean?
Well, the mind contains the other mind idea. That is the what was the example I was going to use? It specifically came up. This is a weird kind of reference, but like I took an Intro to Islam class.
Okay.
And in the Quran, they have, I think it's the second surah, which is like the second book. There's a whole list of things because Islam is very sort of fundamentalist. It's not as easily reformed as other religions, just because of the nature of.
There's some principal tenets about not changing things.
And one of them
original language and such.
It says, beware of reformers. Here are all of the arguments they're going to make.
Right, yeah.
This book is old. Should we believe as they did 1,000 years ago? Which is like, that's kind of valid. Right. So it pre-programmed everyone with like, here's all the things that they're going to say.
It contains
to
its...
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, at minimum, whoever wrote this book, even if they were wrong, they're competent enough to know exactly what the arguments were going to be against it.
Yeah, of course it's kind of a work of genius. Yeah. At the very least, right? That's the...
Yeah, totally. And the other example I was going to use is, I think... You said because Jordan Peterson was able to do that with Sam, but not vice versa. I think the same is true for Jordan Peterson and Richard Dawkins.
In which way? That Richard Dawkins can't figure out.
Richard Dawkins was like, "You're drunk on symbols. You're drunk on symbols. You're drunk on symbols." He doesn't. He's just all propositional truth, objective truth.
And it's true that Jordan Peterson, in his age and this era, has become a little more like belligerent and not very socially like aware or whatever.
True.
Right? So he's more willing, he's less willing to even demonstrate his understanding of like scientific truth or the scientific perspective because he's so. You know what I mean? But we know like Jordan Peterson, of course, can just be a scientist and just represent that kind of way of thinking pretty excellently. He's just not willing to do it anymore because he gets mad at Richard Dawkins. Yeah,
and it's so self-defeating. It's like,
and Richard Dawkins, and that's the thing. It's the thing with Richard Dawkins. Like he can't even as an intellectual exercise, even as play, he can't occupy Jordan Peterson.
I don't care. He said, I don't care about that. It's like, well, dude, it's exactly as obtuse when Peterson is like, hey. Or like Alex O'Connor asks him,
Alex O'Connor.
Hey, were Cain and Abel real people? I get that you don't think that's important, and maybe you're right, and maybe we should not devote attention to that.
Well, Alex O'Connor is completely like...
I love Alex O'Connor. I think Alex O'Connor, you and like... I don't know, I was going to say Ryan Chapman maybe, but Ryan Chapman hasn't been making as many videos.
I'm very flattered, by the way. This is another thing, too.
Or like top tier.
Of course I'm flattered by you. Again, for the same like non-rational reason why I would like associate with whomever that I disagree with. I'm like, it just flatters me.
I know.
It's very complimentary to me. It's
really, I'm just trying to flatter and queerbait your audience. But listen, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Alex O'Connor.
Alex O'Connor.
Say Alex O'Connor is like as dedicated to like kind of truly occupying and like someone else's mind and containing other people's mind as you are committed to like the sort of like division, like trying to unify or whatever. And as Jordan Peterson is to like Nazi death camps or whatever.
Did you?
Or I guess Soviet Russia is the only thing he talks about.
Yeah. Did you see? I saw a short from Alex O'Connor. It was great, and I almost never.
I don't watch shorts.
I know you're. Yeah, that's fair.
Every once in a while, can I tell you the truth? Every once in a while, a short will come up, and it's like a sexy, like thing of like a pop star on a stage, and I'm like, sex brain. I'm like, I watch it. That's happened like maybe 3 times in my life. So I was
you are mortal.
It's like it's just like Dua Lipa doing something kind of suggestive, and I'm like, I'll check it.
You'd think after 10,000 times of seeing like a hot girl in a bikini or dancing or something like that, you'd be like, this is old. It's like, it doesn't really get old.
It's the fusion of like the laziness and the clicking, and I'm in the middle of working, and then it's just and there's a short, and this is a stupid.
There's also a technical term. I think it's called latent inhibition, where there's certain things that you never get habituated to, like looking at fire, watching like animals play, like watching children play.
Like they hotness. Always kind of have the same salience too. Like
it's like there's a habituation. Like if you poke a snail once, it'll go back in its shell. If you do it twice, it'll go back in its shell. But if you keep doing it, it eventually just won't. It gets habituated. Yeah. There's certain
like
things.
The rat.
Yeah, like the rat. Yeah. There's certain things that are There's certain things that never. It's called latent. I think it's called something like latent inhibition that never go away. And like beauty is one of them. Like no matter how many times you see it, it doesn't get old.
Right.
Anyway, I completely.
Sex.
Yeah, but it was before that. What was that?
It's like naked bodies. That's probably what YouTube.
Wait, shorts?
Latent inhibition.
Alex O'Connor. I saw a short from Alex O'Connor. I rarely ever. I know naked Alex. What? I rarely ever will see a short and then go look up the YouTube video.
Yeah.
But it was Alex O'Connor.
I've had to do that sometimes with Jordan Peterson shorts, like from like content farms, and I have to find the source for something. I'm like, fuck.
Yep. But Alex O'Connor was walking through this super logical progression of like, and very like a steel man of, hold on. What explains the resurrection? Mm-hmm. Like, what all these people lied? Generally, people don't die for their beliefs that they know are lies. Yeah. So it's like, what is that? Group hallucination? That's never happened in history. Like, and he gives a much more like Steelman kind of. Then he says, so the only option, like, maybe he did rise from the dead. And I was like, fuck, hold on, does he believe this? So I looked it up. Then I saw the other half of that where he's like, notice what I did. I went through a series of just like a checklist. It couldn't be this, so it must be this.
Yeah.
But I just decided where to terminate it.
Exactly, yeah.
So I could have done...
You invented that.
Yeah, I could have done, did they all lie? No one dies for their beliefs. Well, did he rise from the dead? Well, that's never happened. So it must be group hallucination.
Exactly, yeah.
And I was like, God damn, that's to your point. It's like that makes him so much more interesting because
it does.
He did the best possible argument of the people he disagrees with.
Yeah, of course. There's something really like deep about Steelmanning when you actually do it, and there's something profound about how Jordan Peterson can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's
like it's a deep. There's something about it.
You know
right?
what? This is my hot take. I've said this before. I think I have some faith he will leave the Daily Wire. Only because forget.
I can see that.
Forget anything.
I could see that. I could see that.
Forget any of the ideology of the Daily Wire that I may or may not disagree with. When they let go or when they got rid of Candace and then more recently Brett Cooper. She's like this. Do you know who that is?
She's cute.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've never seen her speak.
She's very normie coded. My very progressive ex-girlfriend loved Brett Cooper, and I was like, okay, we need more Brett Coopers in the world.
Really? The progressive people like Brett Cooper?
At least one of them.
I think I've seen that. I saw Brett Cooper. I'm like, she's cute. I should probably never hear her speak.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes.
But they got rid of her, and I think her and Candace, and they made her sign NDAs, I believe.
Because they were too much?
Just, they didn't, I don't know, they're a business.
How did the progressive person like the Brett Cooper then?
Because conservatism is correct, and progressivism is all fucking bullshit from feminist.
You know who I can never help but liking, no matter what, is just Shoe on Head. I can't help tune in.
Shoe on Head's good.
Every time. She's really
Shoe on Head's a radical centrist. Shoe on Head is what did I give her? I gave her A tier enlightened centrist. When I did the 2023 enlightened centrist tier list, it was you and Jordan Peterson were S tier, and I think Shoe on Head was probably an A tier. I would have put her in A tier.
Yeah.
But Jordan Peterson, Daily Wire, the whole NDA thing, it's like, dude, that's very antithetical to free speech. Like, if you have a problem, hash it out, right?
Of this, like, kind of decadent free-for-all free speech that they're kind of attesting to, basically.
Yeah, and my thing is just, it seems so... I genuinely do believe Peterson's conscience eats at him, like, for sure. Like, that's the whole...
Yeah.
Adopting responsibility, the whole Holocaust or whatever. Like, that's his problem.
He's definitely getting eaten up by something.
Yeah. And also...
Whether that's the highest morality or something else, he's eating himself. You can see it in his eyes.
Right, maybe he got dinner with RFK Jr. and got the same brainworms or something like that. But or even the Netanyahu thing. It's like almost no one, even the most ardent pro-Israel people, are not pro-Netanyahu. And the fact that Peterson had like a decent relationship with him, ostensibly, I believe that's got to be eating at him to some degree. But anyway... Alex O'Connor.
So you think maybe he could be one day?
Huh?
So you think maybe Jordan Peterson could leave the Daily Wire one day?
I think so. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily bet on it, but I have some level of faith.
He just needs to take a break and shut the fuck up, and he won't. He never will.
And I do,
I can't trust people that never go quiet and never go, I don't know, and never start being like, I'm just gonna stop performing my whole life and like investigate my own life.
The rebuttal to that would be, well, if you listen to him, he's always qualifying like, well, I don't know for sure, but I don't know for sure. And that is a good practice, that genuinely is, but that does give license.
It's kind of like saying that like, Destiny, I feel like you know what I mean? Because it's like, you don't know, but you never shut the fuck up.
Right, Destiny does the same thing, by the way. And and I know that's what a Destiny fan would use to defend Destiny. It's like, well, if you listen to him, he always says like he might not know.
That's the thing, is if you are a super fan of Jordan Peterson, like you or me, I guess, because I listen to so much and I transcribe. I have like that document is just hundreds of pages of long.
Really?
Yeah, of just
that
pure
you've taken notes?
Transcribing, yeah. I did it personally, and there's links to like almost every so much. It's insane. But like so it's like there's tons of qualifiers. You can always find some time over his never shutting the fuck up career from the age of 30 all the way till now. You can always find him saying like a lot of different things. He always like makes an exception of a place like a person does. But again, it's like look at the trends. It's a pragmatic bring.
Yeah.
Okay.